one of the confusing things for parents and for pediatricians when it comes to discussions about discipline is that people equate discipline with punishment. And in fact, as I discussed in my article advising parents on discipline, what works is that in fact discipline is really a whole system. It's a system for teaching and nurturing children, and it has three major components which are really critical and interdependent to make the system effective. Those components are a positive parent-child relationship, ways of influencing the child to promote the desired behaviors, and ways of providing consequences for the child to decrease misbehavior. Those three components work together. None of them work independently, and I think often that's a confusing thing for people who are getting advice from their doctors about discipline and they only hear about punishment, or who are only thinking about what's not working when they're raising their children, and they always look towards what punishment's not working instead of how the whole system is not working together. Another piece of discipline which people don't always understand is that discipline is really a kind of way of teaching children. And we're teaching children so that they'll fit into the real world and be happy and effective there. Freud said that the main motivators for human beings are Leben und Arbeiten, which is to love and to work. And when you translate this for children, what you realize is that children need to learn that they are lovable and also to learn that they are capable. Both of these are the foundation for self-esteem, too, if you think about it, even for a minute. And that the techniques that are part of strategies for discipline help children understand that they're lovable, but also understand that they're capable and be capable of appropriate kinds of social interactions with others. If you start by thinking about those aspects of the parent-child relationship that are important to good behavior on the part of the child, let's just be practical for a moment, we know what some of those are. The first one is actually the warmth of the parent-child relationship. And that warmth and giving of affection and getting of affection, of course, is part of what's the joy of parenting, too. Some of the other things we know that are associated with positive child behaviors include the amount of monitoring that the parent provides for the child, knowing where they are and that they're appropriately supervised, and also sharing in their activities, enjoying the activities with them, having joint activities. Those are all important parts of promoting a parent-child relationship. Actually, even children who have grown up in extremely stressful environments, if they have one adult with whom they can identify, who really cares about them and serves as a role model for them, it has an enormous effect on mitigating the other bad things that have gone on in their life and reducing their power, and also making that child more resilient to stress in their own life as they grow up. So I can't overemphasize the importance of that parent-child relationship to a child's outcome. Now, you might say, well, what does that have to do with discipline? Well, in fact, it's not I'm hitting you because I love you that we're talking about here, but having an affectionate relationship with the adult that includes a structure. And everyone knows, if they've been a parent, that it's easier to be affectionate with your child when they're behaving well than when they're behaving badly. So having a structure with appropriate limits being set, with routines for the day, with positive reinforcement for the child's positive behaviors, plenty of praise, and attention to the child in several different ways. Attention is really a critical part of a positive parent-child relationship. In one sense, attention is important because it reinforces the child's appropriate behavior. But in another sense, attention is how we know people care about us. They don't always have to agree with us when we're paying attention to them or listening carefully to them, but they are taking us seriously. And that's really a very basic form of respect that begins really from birth, during infancy. So a system of discipline that includes a positive parent-child relationship actually starts from the very beginning. And that's one of the questions people ask me. Gee, when should I start disciplining my child? Well, in fact, they've already started. They're already setting the tone for their relationship, and it's that tone that has really the greatest influence on how their child grows up and how their relationship develops.
It didn't take me very long before I could see that almost all the parents who came to our training program felt that children should be disciplined. This whole concept of discipline came up. Of course, what we needed to do was to help them see that it would be far better off if the children would be self-disciplined, that they would not need the parents to make them be disciplined, to make them obey. So now, a lot of people, and of course, everybody who came to the class, without exception, punished their children. So, and I began to see that this was really one of the causes of the breakdown of the hurting the relationship between parents and children. So we had to explain to them that there is a noun called discipline, and then there's a verb, to discipline. And it's all right, you know, to have discipline in the family, but they thought in terms of discipline to discipline, they always thought you must punish the children. What I found was that there was some misunderstanding about the concept of discipline. Discipline can be a noun and discipline can be a verb. The discipline that is a verb means to discipline. I have the definition here: to bring to a state of order and obedience, to punish or penalize. That comes from the dictionary. What these people were doing, these parents were doing, almost universally, they were using external control over their children by using punishment and discipline, as opposed to trying to get self-control, self-discipline within the child. That became the critical issue.